This painting from 1782 shows the French artist Élisabeth Vigée Le Brun. It's a self-portrait of her, 27 years old, and looking at the world in front of her with confidence. She had just traveled with her husband and 2-year-old daughter from France to Belgium and the Netherlands to study the Dutch and Flemish Baroque masters. And in Antwerp, she came across this portrait. It's the portrait of Susanna Lunden by arguably the most famous Baroque painter at that time, Peter Paul Rubens. She just fell in love with it. It's best to tell it in her own words. Its great effect resides in the two different lights, ordinary daylight and the glow of the sun. This painting delights me and inspired me to make my own portrait in Brussels in search of the same effect. I painted myself wearing a straw hat with a feather and a garland of wildflowers and holding my palette. When the portrait was exhibited at the Salon, I dare say it greatly enhanced my reputation. So just to make it clear, she first made a relatively quick version, which is this one. Unfortunately, there is no high-resolution image of this work available as it is part of a private collection. She exhibited it with great success and then made the much more famous version, which is in the National Gallery. The second version shows her with even more confidence. So she was 27 years old at this moment, had a child, and her husband was making good money. For most women back in the day, that would mean the end of their career, as they were expected to take care of their family. But not for Elizabeth. She actually had some things going for her. Her father was an artist, albeit not a very successful one, and he had died when she was 12 years old. Her husband was also an artist and art dealer with some valuable contacts in the male-dominated art world. The year after her self-portrait in a straw hat, she even caught the attention of the Queen Marie Antoinette. Over the next few years, she painted over 30 portraits of the Queen and her family. And while I show you some of the paintings by Le Brun from this period, let me tell you that things were not exactly looking rosy for her by the end of the decade. In 1789, the French Revolution started, and everybody associated with the royal family was not appreciated anymore, to say the least. And her marriage was also not exactly filled with mutual love. So, what to do? She decided to go in exile with her daughter. While she moved to Italy, she left her husband behind in Paris. Not exactly ideal for someone who had just built a nice reputation in her own country. And this is where she was unique. Instead of seeing it as a setback, she took it as an opportunity. A single mother trying to make it abroad in a world dominated by male artists. That was not exactly an easy task. I mean, if I would ask you to name 10 female artists from the 18th century and before, I guess that several of you will not be able to come up with 10 answers. Here you can see another self-portrait of her just after she arrived in Italy. Vigée Le Brun saw Italy as an amazing opportunity to further develop herself as an artist in the land of Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, Titian, and countless other wonderful painters. Painting was her passion, and she was determined to continue her early success. After the early death of her father, she was largely self-taught, and that skill came in handy now that she was in a country filled with great art. In Italy, she would continue to paint elegant portraits of the upper class. While in France the monarchy was no longer appreciated, her prior work with Queen Marie Antoinette was still opening doors abroad. She had also a relatively unique theme that she offered to her clients, which was that she could paint their portraits in an allegorical setting. Here is for example the portrait of Emma, Lady Hamilton, as a mythological bacchante. After 3 years in Italy, she moved to Austria, where she would spend the next couple of years. As you can see from the portraits shown here, she was in high demand among female sitters. And like she had appealed to the French queen in the past, she once again made her way into the highest circles of the Austrian society, painting princesses and other very wealthy women. In Vienna, she also got in touch with Polish and Russian nobility. And it was in 1795 that the Russian ambassador and some of his compatriots urged her to go to St. Petersburg. They said that the Russian empress would be pleased to meet her. And there was a lot of money in Russia among the riches. And before telling you about that part, I would like to let you know that Élisabeth Vigée Le Brun actually wrote her own memoirs, and you can access them for free online. I will put a link in the description box below this video. Back to the story. She moved for the next 6 years to Russia. By now she traveled with her brother-in-law, and her period in Russia was quite significant and successful. She painted portraits of the Russian nobility and of the family of the Empress, including this lovely portrait of Alexandra and Elena, the granddaughters of the Empress Catherine the Great. Most of the Russian portraits show an attractive simplicity, a feeling of ease, an unpretentiousness that was part of Vigée Le Brun's trademark style. Her love of theater is also visible in many of these portraits, as she enjoyed portraying her sitters in costumes and capture particular moods. In her second year in St. Petersburg, the Empress herself had agreed to sit for Elizabeth. But unfortunately, she died on the day she would be modeling. By the time she decided to leave Russia to return to Western Europe, Vigée Le Brun was 46 years old. Her family and ex-husband had finally made sure that she could return to her home country, but she had a hard time feeling at home there. So she traveled to London and Switzerland. With bags filled of money, she finally bought a nice big house near Paris in 1809. Her career was by no means over, as you can see by these works, but her output slowed down quite a bit. She would enjoy a busy social life, write her memoirs of all her foreign adventures, and still paint the occasional portrait. She would finally die at age 86, leaving behind hundreds of spectacular portraits that are part of the best museum collections all over the world. Well, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of the unlikely success story of Élisabeth Vigée Le Brun, whose passion, talent and determination got her to the highest circles of European society. If you did enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for more art videos. And just a reminder that you can access Vigée Le Brun's memoirs for free through the link in the description box below. Thanks for watching.